to buffer the stream, please. Almost there. And we're okay. We're good. We're good.
Okay. Call this meeting to order. We shall begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. And our usual flag, Mr. Price, Commissioner Price.
Stand by.
Hold on. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I just left a different Zoom meeting, and this was the background.
That is a
moment.
fabulous background, though.
There we go.
I like it. Okay. Well, do we have a volunteer this evening?
I'll kick it off.
All right. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So following our agenda, the next item of business would be the approval of our previous meeting minutes. And thank you, Betty, for getting those to us so expeditiously. Do we have any comments, insertions, deletions from the commissioners?
This is Commissioner Starr. I have the insertion.
Okay.
I don't see anything in the minutes regarding the conversation that the Secretary of State notified the director that the commission was to place the issue 4 and 5 back on the ballot.
Okay. Betty, can you include that information? Any additional discussion? Seeing none. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended with the addition that the director was notified orally from the Secretary of State's office to add that the director told the Election Commission that the Secretary of State's office was to basically add issue 4 and 5 back on the ballot for September 8th, 2020. September 8th, 2020. Sorry, I can't talk right now.
The September 8th. Okay.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
So we're here this evening. So we as a commission made an incorrect decision because we relied on erroneous information, and working from that inaccurate data, there was an action taken at our last meeting, which must be corrected.
Point of order.
Yes.
Madam Chair, could you?
Hello?
Myself, Commissioner Price, and the public.
Do I what? You cut out on my end. Hello?
I can't hear her either.
I am showing her still connected, both
Okay.
with voice and video
Okay,
currently.
so you can't hear me. Okay, I just want to
There you
make
go.
sure.
There she is. Okay. Completely cut out. Don't know what you said. Star, are you there?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. And we have stopped hearing you if you're still talking.
Can y'all hear me?
You can now. I can now.
Go ahead.
You didn't hear what I requested?
Nope, not at all.
I just heard point of order and I didn't hear anything after that.
Same with me.
Okay, Madam Chair, could you please, because we,
Okay, I cut out after you said, Madam Chair, could you please, because and then I didn't hear anything you said.
could we take a quick recess?
You would like a recess?
Okay, it looks like she just dropped off, so I'm going to watch for her to rejoin. I'm assuming she's dropped off to try to get a different, better connection. So
Sure. We'll wait for
I'm watching for her to re-enter the meeting. So I'll let you know as soon as I see. Okay, she's popping back up now, so I'm admitting her.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying another route.
Okay.
Have to love Uverse.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So my request was, because none of the discussion about what this meeting is in regards to other than getting the notice, can you please provide the information of what this meeting is in regards to for the commission and for the public, or the public record?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I will do that. We had a meeting on Tuesday. And one of the things we did was, after correspondence from the Secretary of State's office notifying all of the county election commissions that the ballot issue, I believe it was issue 1, had what the ballot title that was certified, that was sent out from the Secretary of State's office, included an error, and so a correction was sent. We had previously certified our ballots, and we're in the process of having them printed. When this error occurred, when we're notified of the error, and in our meeting, we ended up did a amended certification where the issue 1 problem with the ballot title, we updated that so it would reflect the ballot, and ballots printed in Pulaski County would reflect the correct information. And while we were having that discussion, Mr. Brian Poe discussed issues 4 and 5 which we have been given directions from the Secretary of State to strike after the Supreme Court opinion that came out on the 27th, that issues 4 and 5 would not appear on the ballot. And without getting in too much detail, is that so there was some discussion. The commissioners, and I'm speaking for myself, although I'm fairly certain the other commissioners would join in this, were given some erroneous information. We took action relying on the erroneous information we were given to amend our certification to include the issue 1 update correction from the Secretary of State's office, and then the inclusion of issue 4 and 5. I personally, like I said, I can only tell you what my personal thought was, because I cannot tell you what the other 2 commissioners were thinking in their head. However, I was under the impression, based on the discussion and the information provided, that the Secretary of State's office had directed the counties to include issue 4 and 5, which had been struck. And based on that discussion, going back and re-listening to the meeting, it appears as though the issue 1 concerns and what was raised regarding ballot issues 4 and 5 appeared to be conflated when that information was given to the commissioners. So, relying on the erroneous information provided, the commission voted to amend certification and include ballot issue 4 and 5. Now, after the meeting, I independently verified the information that we were told, and I found discrepancies in what the commissioners were led to believe, and apparently the reality of the actual discussions with the Secretary of State's office, as well as the state board. Indeed, discussing with the state board, I believe the direct quote, I'm going to try to get this right so I don't misquote anyone, but I believe what was said to me when I inquired as to the information that we were provided, I was told that is the exact opposite of anything this office would say. Likewise, when speaking to Leslie Bellamy, who is a director of the elections at the Secretary of State's office, and who Mr. Poe had referenced in the information he provided to the commission, Leslie Bellamy emphatically made clear that she had spoken to Mr. Brian Poe about issue 4 and 5, and that no, they're not back on the ballot. No, there is not ongoing litigation. There was a lawsuit, a new, different lawsuit that was filed But no, the Secretary of State did not give that direction. And that was not told to anyone. And furthermore, I inquired as far as what was to appear on the ballot and the rest of the 75 counties. And I was given confirmation today that of the 66 counties that ES&S handles with the printing and handles those, 0 of those 66 counties will have issue 4 and 5 on the ballot. And in fact, 0 of the remaining 75 counties in the state of Arkansas will have issue 4 and 5 on the ballot. After receiving this information, when I tried to verify what was told to us in the meeting and found it to be erroneous, I then called for a meeting to correct the action that was taken so that the people of Pulaski County do not suffer. It is unfortunate things that have happened, but today we are here to make things right for the voters of Pulaski County. And Commissioner Starr, will that suffice, or would you like some additional discussion so we are all clear as to what is going on?
That I am pretty confused because from the conversation, from the meeting, there seems to be a lot of confusion lately from what is entered on public record and then what is reported later is in conflict, and that's very discouraging to me. And I don't understand why anyone would deviate from what is on the public record, as in anyone can go back and listen to that. And it really surprises me when we have media that can hear the public record and literally report something completely opposite. It's shocking, absolutely shocking to me. But anyway, from my understanding and from what's on the public record, what was said in the meeting a few days ago was, first there was an email sent, and we have a copy of that email from the Secretary of State's office that says to remove issue 4 and 5 off the ballot. And that is what we did. Then there was an error made in the highway issue, and there was some language that had to be fixed in that issue, so that we had to have a meeting to amend that. And then we were told that the Secretary of State's office and the county attorney had advised us to place issue 4 and 5 back on the ballot because it was under litigation. And we had a lot of discussion about it. And we had a lot of discussion about, because for one, as much as we respect the county attorney on this, and I had brought this up, I and Commissioner Price and you wanted to see something in writing from the Secretary of State's office, because it just seemed odd that they would make a statement after sending something in writing to take it off, that they want us to put it back on. And we went into great lengths about why that was and how that came about, and why they did not send us anything in an email or in writing. And we were actually going to hold it off. I asked the question, how, because of UACAVA requirements, and the 46-day rule before election day, how long could we wait because of the printing needs to get that ballot printed and get it in time to the clerk's office so they could meet their legal requirements? In which the conversation was, we need to do it as soon as possible. But I said, again, 24 hours, 48 hours, because I really want to get that in writing from the Secretary of State's office. I'm assuming the director received maybe a text from the attorney. I don't know, but provided as a statute that said basically this is what required us, backing up the statement that was received supposedly from the Secretary of State's office that required us to put it back on the ballot. The statement was made that we in Washington County were the only 2 counties out of 75 counties that would have, if we didn't do this, that would be the only 2 counties in the state of Arkansas that did not have issue 4 and 5 on the ballot. And this is all in the public record. It's all on YouTube. Anyone can go listen to it. So I am very confused now after hearing several qualified individuals provide information to, as of last night, and later today, that is not accurate, that there are no counties that have this on the ballot, that we would be the only county to put it on the ballot. And I do think that needs to be, there needs to be some follow-up on that and how that came to be. So that is an issue. I am concerned. From my understanding, the Secretary of State's office has been very adamant that they did not request that to be put back on the ballot. No one requested that to be put back on the ballot. I do understand the county attorney did advise that, and that is accurate. But it did not come from the Secretary of State's office. So that you're correct in your assessment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to add that AG opinion, we have an AG's opinion that came out directly on point. So that's nice and helpful. But AG opinion 2020-045 is directly on point and contradicts Mr. Fogelman's opinion on this. That was issued today. I have a copy. The Secretary of State, once again, as such a helpful state agency, or not a constitutional office, provided a copy. I didn't even have to even search for it. It was already sent once that AG opinion came out, because John Thurston, our Secretary of State, had requested that. It was issued, I sent it this morning, so maybe it was issued yesterday, actually, when I look at the, might actually look at the opinion. It may have been issued yesterday. But regardless, it's directly on point, which is helpful to us. I would encourage everyone within the sound of my voice to look up the AG opinion 2020-045. It's available to the public free of charge. To read it. And I'm going to encourage the commissioners to follow what that says in regards to fixing what happened in our meeting regarding the printing of the ballots in Pulaski County and what is going to be printed on the ballots.
Madam Chair, I would like to hear from Commissioner Price.
Sure, Price, the floor is yours.
I'm actually reading the AG opinion right now. So
Okay.
Give me one moment.
You take however long you need.
So from my understanding, and as I'm still reading the opinion, I'm just saying just my thoughts from the other day, was that issue 4 and 5 were still under litigation. Is that correct, Brian? And that was the kind of the reasoning or the rationale behind leaving them on the ballot, in just in case So if they were to not be accepted, having them on the ballot wouldn't hurt anything because then they just wouldn't be counted, correct?
But that is correct. There's a federal lawsuit, I believe.
Is that lawsuit ongoing?
So far as I know, I haven't seen anything about it being dismissed or anything like that.
Okay. Did we ever get anything in writing from the Secretary of State either way, Brian? Whether it's saying to keep it on or take it off?
Just the original email that I included in the affidavit.
Okay.
That said to take it off.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so I mean, it looks like we've got the Secretary of State email saying to take it off. We've got the AG opinion saying to leave it off. We've got the county attorney's opinion saying that it's still under litigation and to keep it on pending that litigation. And then either way, if it's not counted, then or if it's not accepted, then it won't be counted. Is that correct? Is that an assessment of kind of where we are?
That I'm gonna say no.
No.
Mr. Fogelman is simply wrong on the law and his rationale. From his,
No, I wasn't saying whether he was right or wrong, but that's just what he has recommended. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Brian, has Mr. Fogelman seen this AG opinion? Do you know that?
I don't know if he has or not. What opinion is it again?
2020-045.
I'll forward it to him.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Starr. You are awesome.
Copy and paste it.
Here's the issue, Price.
Mm-hmm.
First off, the font size has to be so small, and it's going to be a hardship for our voters.
No, I agree with that.
And there is no reason why we should be the only county that would put something back on once it's been struck. We have not been. There's no injunction. There is a lawsuit that was a new suit that was filed.
So not the
But
original
it's not
lawsuit, correct?
pending. No, it's over. There's no injunction that's been issued. There is no mandate after the Supreme Court's final decision. It's final. There is a second lawsuit with a party that was the same that filed in a different court but not, there is nothing pending regarding with this ongoing litigation. It's over with in Arkansas. Now, like I said, there may be other suits that might get filed all over the place, but they're new. It's not the same ongoing litigation. So that is just straight wrong as far as a rationale for keeping it. And the fact that it's going to be a hardship for the voter, it's going to be confusing. It'll be extremely confusing. It's going to make the ballots hard to read. And this election, of all elections that we have had, it is paramount with the increase of absentee voting, with the increase of, all the uncertainty and all the problems and, potential pitfalls and problems that we could be facing. Making things harder for the voter is absolutely at odds with what we should be doing.
Madam Chair, if I may.
You may.
I I think no matter what, as much as we may respect the county attorney's opinion, we have to follow the law.
I agree.
And as much as, whatever litigation may be out there, if we wait on litigation, we could be waiting forever. There could be litigation on all kinds of things. There could be litigation on holding on to ballots for 100 days after an election. We can't stop what the law requires us to do. And at the end of the day, we're required to follow what the Secretary of State or what the state board has set in place for us based on statutory requirements. We have to follow what the law says. So that is what we're required to do. That what was certified to us to do is what is sent down from the Secretary of State's office. That's what we're required to do, and that's what we have to do. So I don't see this as any kind of issue. It doesn't matter what's in litigation, what's going on outside of this this commission. We have to do what the law requires us to do.
No, I absolutely agree. I was just trying to kind of paint the overall picture for anyone that was perhaps listening and wasn't sure of the situation in its entirety and where different groups kind of stood on the issue. But with the AG opinion, which was mailed out around noon today, which was my apologies, my first time having the time to check and read it. I mean, it is clear in its ruling, so I agree. There's no issue here on my end.
Okay. Well, any additional discussion? Regarding an amended certification?
So, Brian, what is the next steps?
You just sign off on the amended certification. We'll print a test deck, run that through the DS200 and the DS450, and then we will once the test deck is tested and it shows that the ballots read, we'll go ahead and have the ballots printed.
Okay, great.
Question.
And I do want to point out that our UOCAVA deadline for when those need to be mailed out, if there is any kind of crunch time issues with getting that, let's make sure those get mailed first. Even if the rest of the ballots are not finished yet, let's make sure we meet that deadline. However, I have full confidence everything can be printed on time. However, if there is any slowdown in the printing, get the UOCAVA ballots out when they need to go, and we will go from there.
I have a question about so as the font size has been, I say, Amanda is on. Amanda, has that font size been increased back to 12 or whatever it was previously?
Yes, it has. I increased the candidates back to 12. However, I did increase the issues back to a 14.
Oh,
Okay, great. Yeah, it looked larger to me, and I was wondering if it was a trick of my eyes or if it was.
Right.
So thank you for that clarification.
I tried to do all of it
asking.
14, but it wouldn't work. So I chose the issues over the candidates on that.
Good. Question, Director Poe or maybe Amanda. How many ballots were printed with the issues, and will there be a destruction order for that?
The ballots haven't been delivered. They'll just be discarded by the printer.
How will they be discarded?
They'll be destroyed.
Is there an order for that?
No. I mean, like the ballots aren't official until they get delivered.
So are they shredded, or do you know?
Yeah, I mean, what's the process for that?
I'm assuming shredded.
I'll check with them, but I believe they'll be shredded.
Could you get back to us with that information?
Will do.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think to Commissioner Starr's point, a copy of whatever paperwork they have describing that would be shredded, I think would be great for us to have on our records.
And how many? Yeah, thank you.
100% agree.
May I make a statement?
Well, commissioners, do we
Yes,
need to
please.
hear anything from Mr. Poe?
Yes, please.
Go ahead, Mr. Poe.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that I gave you all incorrect information, and for that, I am sorry. I
Mhm.
misinterpreted the conversation that I had with the Secretary of State's office. And then when I went to follow up per the request of Commissioner Starr, I was like that information was corrected, and I realized that I had provided bad information. So I'm going to go ahead and own that and
Okay.
apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poe. I appreciate that.
And thank you for following up with that.
Thank you.
Just so you know, it is my recommendation as well that you go ahead and correct the ballot.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Poe.
So do we need a motion then?
Yes.
I will make a motion. I make a motion to approve, or do you need to approve or certify, Director Poe?
Amend the certification?
Just amend.
To approve the amended certification of ballot styles.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the amended certification of ballot styles for the general nonpartisan runoff annual school election for the on this 10th day of September 2020 for the November 3rd, 2020 election.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And that concludes our scheduled business. I do note, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I do see I have a new email here, public comments. So when we get to that portion, looks like we actually have public comments, so that's exciting. Any other business we have that we need to address this evening? Commissioners, any other business?
No more ballot changes, please.
No,
Yes.
sir.
I'm going to co-sign on that. Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move to our next item of business. So there's a public comment, and I'm opening it up right now. Let's see. I assume the rest of the commissioners got this email
Yes.
Yeah.
forwarded to them.
I forwarded to you all the opinion of the county, or the email from the county attorney, and the
Mhm.
public comment that we had received. Additionally, I'll let you know that there are some public comments in chat
Okay.
on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Oh, I
Okay.
need- Can we,
Yes, Star?
can we just put those on, can we just share that screen on here? Be easier.
That would be.
Jody, can you just share that, the chat from YouTube?
Oh, let
There-
me, I will, Betty, I'm sorry, I'm not, I've got all the streaming stuff going, but I don't have that. Betty, if I throw that back to you, can you share that?
I don't know that that's necessarily a good idea, because if it includes the screen, then you might kind of have a what's the word? Not a mirroring effect, but like the effect where you have one screen showing another screen.
Mandala kind of, yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean,
And
I'm
that's
sure that can be done. I apologize that I don't have that ready to go on the thing, but
and that's
Plus,
it.
What
I
about-
am not logged into YouTube.
Can you just,
Sorry.
someone
I
just,
could copy it and email it to you. Would that work?
Okay.
could someone just read the comments?
I'm looking at them now. It looks like the
There you
comments
go.
are all from the same person who sent the email as well.
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to, well, like, I'm just a little, excited that we actually have a public comment. So thank you, member of the public. Mr. Poe, do you want to lead us through the email we received? We have an email from, I guess, Mr. Fogelman's, I guess that'd be considered a public comment, I suppose. He sent an email, as well as looks like Ms. Rochelle Britton. So Mr. Poe, would you just lead us through that and then continue with the other public comments?
Okay, Mr. Fogelman, do you just want a summary or do you want me to read it?
I don't know what the best.
But
Commissioners, do you have a preference if we want a summary or a verbatim read?
I say verbatim.
I say verbatim.
Me too. Okay.
Okay, so for Mr. Fogelman, tonight the Pulaski Board of Election Commissioners is set to meet to determine whether to continue inclusion of issues 4 and 5 on the ballots to be considered by Pulaski County voters. Issue 4 can generally be described as the redistricting amendment. Issue 5 can generally be described as the open primaries amendment. Arkansas Code annotated 75204C1 governs whether certain measures or amendments are to be included on the ballot. This statute requires the Board of Election Commissioners to determine whether, 1, the Secretary of State had not determined the sufficiency of the petition for the amendments or measures by the 75th day before the general election, which was August 20th, 2020, or 2, where the amendments or measures have been challenged for any reason in a court of competent jurisdiction. On August 20th, 2020, challenges to issues 4 and 5 were pending before the Arkansas Supreme Court. On August 27th, 2020, the court decided in favor of the Secretary of State's determination that the background check certification provided by the petition sponsors did not meet the threshold required by law, which resulted in insufficient signatures to advance the process towards inclusion on the ballot. See Miller v. Thurston, 2020, Arkansas 267. On August 28th, 2020, petitioners petitioned the court to rehear the case and to recall the mandate. Formal orders were entered today, September 10th, 2020, denying the petitioner's petition for rehearing and motion to recall the mandate. Thus, the challenge of the matter before Arkansas courts is, at the time of writing, concluded. Nonetheless, on September 2nd, 2020, the supporters of issues 4 and 5 filed a lawsuit in federal court seeking to include the issues on the ballot. If the Board of Election Commissioners determines that either of the facts set out above has occurred, then the ballot issues must be included on the ballot unless all court challenges are concluded, and the court instructs that the issues are not to be on the ballot prior to the ballots being certified. If the ballot language has been certified by the Election Commission and the court has instructed that the amendments or measures are not to be included, then the commission should follow the process set out in Arkansas Code annotated 75209, correcting the error or omission or show cause why the correction should not be done. Alternatively, if the issues are included on the ballot and the conclusion of court challenge results in disqualification of the issues on the ballot, then the votes cast for those issues will not be counted or the results certified.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, and the next public comment is from Rochelle Britton. And she says, I understand the reason for tonight's meeting is that you still can't decide whether or not to include issues 4 and 5 on the ballot. I'm not yet officially a lawyer, but I did graduate from Bowen in May and will be eligible for limited practice under Rule 15A until shortly after I take the bar in February. Though the Arkansas Supreme Court has ruled on issues 4 and 5, I have my issues with that ruling, but this isn't the time or place to address those. A federal lawsuit has been filed to put them back on the ballot. Though I have my doubts as to whether or not the lawsuit is winnable, the prudent solution is to put them back on the ballot pending a final ruling from the federal court. As with past initiatives that were struck off the ballot at the last minute, it is easier and cheaper for the county to simply not count votes on those measures if the federal suit isn't successful than either to reprint the ballots or print an additional ballot if that suit is successful. It also probably won't be on the ballot, or I'm sorry, it also probably won't be the only ballot measure that won't count. I believe issue 6 will be struck in the next few weeks for the same reason as issues 4 and 5, and possibly others. Furthermore, the Secretary of State's office never formally notified you to omit them, just as it never formally notified you of the defect in issue 1's certified popular name. That issue is especially true if, as was suggested at the last meeting, Pulaski is the only county to omit them from the ballot. If the Secretary of State's office is refusing to put its verbal instructions to Brian Poe, or if the Secretary of State's office is to put in writing its verbal instructions to Brian Poe to put them back on, I suggest that refusal is motivated by political opposition to issues 4 and 5. The election already has massive logistical issues from COVID-19. Please don't add to them by removing items from the ballot that may have to be added back at considerable cost and administrative burden to both the county clerk and the commission. Sincerely, Rochelle Britton, Jacksonville.
Thank you.
And at this point, if I may, I just once again want to apologize for providing correct information to both the commission and the public. I misinterpreted the comments from the Secretary of State's office, and after having a follow-up discussion, realized the mistake that I made. So once again, my apologies.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. And it seems like this public comment does have some misinformation in there, and I'm assuming that they have not seen the AG's opinion either. But thank you for pointing that out, Brian. I appreciate that.
Could we go
Moving
through
on.
the YouTube comments, please?
Yeah, we have, keep going. We have more comments. But that is the conclusion of our email comments. Is that correct?
That is the conclusion of the email comments. Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the other public comments. Thank you, Mr. Poe.
Okay, the YouTube comments. Rochelle Britton, independently verified. I seriously doubt it. Rochelle Britton, the people will suffer if the lawsuit is successful and you have to reprint the ballots. Rochelle Britton, Commissioner Starr is absolutely correct as to what happened in the meeting. I watched it also. Rochelle Britton, I'm on the AG's website. Opinion 2020-045 is not available.
Okay.
I can email it. You got her email. Could you please email her a copy of the opinion?
That's the thing. Like, I can't find it either.
I sent it to the Vote Pulaski website, or the
Okay.
Vote Pulaski email, so you should receive it soon.
Okay.
It's probably just not up yet.
Oh, well, was it just copied and pasted?
I copy and pasted it to you.
Okay, I got you. I can go ahead and forward that to her.
Please forward that to Ms. Britton.
Just make sure not to
And
send my personal email, please.
Yeah, just the.
Yeah, I will.
I can forward from my
Thank you.
county email.
Brian, Chair Gomez, I just forwarded it to Brian from my county email.
Okay,
Well,
perfect.
I took that information out, so I'm going to forward it to
There
Ms.
you go.
Britton.
Thank you.
And Ms. Britton, if you're watching, thank you for your interest in our proceedings.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for your engagement. We do
And good
appreciate it.
luck- And good luck in your new endeavors.
And taking the bar. That was not fun, and it's horrible. Good luck. You're gonna need it. Hopefully you won't need it. Hopefully you're a better student than some of us other attorneys were. But good luck.
Okay, but continuing with the comments.
Yes.
The next comment, Rochelle Britton in federal court. Rochelle Britton, that is not wrong. It will be a hardship for voters and the county if you have to put it back on. Besides, what's the cost of reprinting the existing ballots? Rochelle Britton, didn't the printer already start printing ballots again? Rochelle Britton, as I said above, 2020-045 is not available on the AG's website. And then Rochelle Britton, you're welcome. And that concludes our comments.
Well, thank you.
And to clarify, we never did start reprinting ballots, correct?
We printed some test ballots, but basically I put a pause on that whenever I received a notification from the chair.
Thank you.
Okay, that's good.
And I do want to add before we conclude our meeting, in my conversation with Leslie Bellamy from the Secretary of State's office, she reiterated that any costs that we incurred prior to the Secretary of State's notification for the issue 1 correction, that she reminded me again that they would cover that cost and to send the invoice and to get that taken care of. So, Mr. Poole, I will leave that to you to take care of. But she did remind me about that in our conversation.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll request an invoice from the printer for the set of test ballots that was printed. Was it this one? The set of test ballots that was printed prior to the notification.
Okay, good.
Right.
Well,
And then provide that invoice to the Secretary of State's office.
Great.
Yes, thank you. Well, if there's nothing further, we shall be adjourned until our next meeting. And I don't have my calendar with me where I wrote it down with. So someone remind me when our next meeting is.
September
30th.
30.
There we go. So if there's nothing further at this time, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.